coming up on Network Africa. 9 farmers killed, several others injured in a deadly raid on a farming community in Kaduna State, Nigeria's northwest. Evacuations continue from South Africa. 250 Ugandans fly back home following anti-immigrant protests in the country. Plus, the DRC opens a 20-bed Ebola treatment center in Beni to boost outbreak response. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Amarachi Ubani here in Lagos. We begin in northwest Nigeria, where we are learning at least 9 farmers have been killed and several others abducted in a deadly raid on a farming community in Kaduna State. The gunmen were said to have stormed fields in Beningwari district, opened fire on the farmers as they worked. Community leaders say the assault appeared to be retaliatory after farmers reportedly killed an armed bandit who had attempted to rob them. Attacks like this are quite regular in that part of the country. Before the latest, at least 6 farmers were killed and 20 others abducted during another attack in Danwatu village, also in Beningwari district. The Nigerian government has strongly condemned the recent killing of 2 Nigerian nationals in South Africa. A statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs says one victim, Emeka Charles Irebu, was reportedly killed by Shwane Metro police officers on June 28, 2026 in Sunnyside, Pretoria, using gruesome interrogation tactics. On April 20th, 2026, these same officers were allegedly responsible for the extrajudicial killing of another Nigerian, Nemeka Matthew Andrew Ekpeong. The statement says his case is still pending and no arrests have been made, even though the 4 officers involved were known to the South African Police Service, SAPS. The second victim of recent violence is that of Mr. Musa Yunana Joe, popularly known as Big Joe. He was killed in front of his shop on June 28th also, this year in Witbank, Mpumalanga. The ministry notes that the killing was committed by yet-to-be-identified criminals. It says the 2 killings came at a time when foreigners are being unduly targeted in South Africa, and raises questions about deliberate attempt by some elements to wrongfully generalize and tag well-meaning and hardworking and respectable Nigerians as criminals. It says this also raises further questions over the general safety of Nigerians and other foreigners in South Africa. The statement further says Nigeria expresses great concern over the recently televised public statement by the spokesperson to the South African government asking Nigerians leaving the country due to the xenophobic protests to show where they hide illegal drugs. The statement says the unguarded public statements are unacceptable and are strongly condemned. Such derogatory, unprofessional and uncensored generalized public statements by highly placed government officials constitute hate speech that influence and incite negative and criminal actions against members of the Nigerian community. With evacuations ongoing to avoid harassment and violence from South Africans seeking migrants leaving their country, thousands of them have been seeking shelter at a temporary repatriation center outside Musina near the border with Zimbabwe as they await transportation home. Aid workers present at the center say the steady flow of arrivals is putting the newly established camp under severe pressure. Some charity groups and churches are, however, on hand providing food, drinking water, soap and baby supplies to families there. Organizers of the center say they can accommodate as many as 10,000 people from Zimbabwe, Malawi and Zambia, but they're preparing as many as 30,000 meals per day.
Women and children's tent, so they separated the men and the women. This is where the ladies and the children are, and as you can see, it's not ideal. They wait here until they can get a bus to leave. It might be a day, it might be 2 days, and some of them might be here longer, depending on the availability of the buses. So we try to make them comfortable. We've given them soap, face cloths, baby wipes, Diapers, that's a very big need. Diapers, just so that they can clean themselves and clean their children. We're just worried about disease outbreak in the camp especially. So there's a constant influx of people. As people leave, there are more people coming in. Unfortunately, the camp right now is bursting at its seams. The facility, I think, has reached maximum capacity. We try to see to as many people as possible, but there's still a really big need in this camp. In terms of why people are not moving out quickly enough, I think the processing is the part that takes some time. It's the processing at immigration. There are long queues. You'll see the queues. They stretch for hundreds of meters. And once that processing gets done, that's when they have to wait for their turn to get onto a bus.
Meanwhile, Ugandan nationals have been leaving South Africa by air. A third flight carrying more than 250 people arrived at the Entebbe International Airport on Sunday, bringing the total number repatriated under the government's voluntary evacuation program to over 560. Officials are urging Ugandans still in the country to remain calm and look out for one another. The Ugandan High Commission says about 600 Ugandan nationals registered in Pretoria, Durban and Cape Town are still awaiting evacuation.
The UPDF and the Special Forces Commands joint operational planning and strategic support has been central to ensuring this complex logistical exercise was executed without single inch. This is a true display of interagency collaboration at the finest, where diplomacy meets defense to protect the frontline citizens like yourselves. We understand that the situation you left behind was tense, stressful, and uncertain. Leaving your businesses, your jobs, and your temporary homes due to the threat of violence is deeply disruptive. But remember, these possessions can be rebuilt, what you have left behind. But your lives are irreplaceable. You are back in your country, the country that loves you, that serves you, and welcomes you selflessly.
Staying in Uganda, but to health issues now. Growing public interest in lenacapavir, the long-acting HIV prevention injection given once every 6 months, is driving demand at health facilities as people seek access to the new pre-exposure prophylaxis or PrEP option. Dr. Herbert Kadama, head of the National Pre-Exposure Prophylaxis Department at Uganda's Ministry of Health, is urging people not to view lenacapavir as the only effective method of HIV prevention while the country expands access. Uganda began rolling out lenacapavir earlier this year, initially distributing the drug to just over 100 health facilities, while prioritizing people considered to be at substantial risk of HIV infection.
Doses of this lenacapavir, 80 doses. This June, it was in June, and we have so far initiated a total number of 98 clients on this PrEP option. I can say this option has been well accepted by the users. Generally, it is so discreet or private. You come to the facility, take your jab, go back home, no one knows. It reduces clinic visits since it is a 6-month injection that is a very long duration.
We are telling people that still there are other methods which work, like abstinence, being faithful, use of condom, and other PrEP methods like oral PrEP, so that they don't look at lenacapavir as the only one which works. But particularly when we are talking of lenacapavir, we have talked with our partners And next year, we expect to get more doses, more than we are getting this year.
More in health news. The Democratic Republic of Congo has opened a new Ebola treatment center in Beni, North Kivu, to strengthen the province's response to the outbreak. Built by International Medical Corps at Beni General Hospital, the 20-bed facility is designed to expand treatment capacity, strengthen infection prevention and control, and support the early isolation and care of suspected and confirmed Ebola patients. The new facility is described as a cornerstone of the Ebola response. Its main goal was to break transmission chains through early identification and safe isolation of suspected and confirmed cases. Now, according to the International Medical Corps coordinator, Jama Simunka, the center was built to meet international standards for infection prevention and control, but also the comfort and safety of patients and healthcare workers. The DRC and Uganda declared Ebola outbreaks on May 15 after laboratory testing confirmed Bundibugyo virus disease. The World Health Organization later declared the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. Mali has released footage of what it says are joint operations with Russia's Africa Corps after a wave of attacks on military positions across the country. The exact date and location of the footage published by the Malian Armed Forces cannot be independently verified, but according to the military, the strikes destroyed vehicles, hidden under trees, wiped out equipment, and killed several militants. It said operations were still underway. The footage was released after coordinated attacks by Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin and the Azawad Liberation Front on military positions across Mali. Still ahead on Network Africa. One Kenyan organization is turning locally sourced bamboo into customized wheelchairs. Welcome back to Network Africa. Every year, hundreds of journalists are recognized for their work, whether it's in writing about politics, current affairs, health, and environment. These awards do not indicate that the journalists have arrived, but it spurs them on to work harder, to go further in their profession, and for some journalists, it's an indication they are doing something right. The Open the Knowledge Journalism Awards is one of those. It celebrates African journalists who report on women, youth, arts, and culture. This year, out of 320 entries from 40 African countries, 3 journalists were honored and recognized for their work. Rekia Mohammed won first place, Abionu Adewale won second place, and Angeline Ochieng got a special mention. Well, joining me now is spokesperson for Wikimedia Foundation's Open the Knowledge Journalism Awards, an initiative by the International Center for Journalists, Nazneen Nawaz. She joins me from London. Nazneen, great to have you on Network Africa.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Great. And what does the Knowledge Journalism Awards aim to achieve in simple terms?
Yeah, so at the Wikimedia Foundation, we're the nonprofit that hosts Wikipedia. We created these awards a couple of years ago. This year, we're running them with the International Center for Journalists, but predominantly to recognize African journalists who are writing about African stories that can be used as source materials for Wikipedia's editors to be able to create articles on the encyclopedia. Wikipedia is the world's largest online encyclopedia, but a lot of people don't know that it's actually written by volunteers, but they can only write about a specific topic if it appears in a credible publication, like, for example, a news article. And if those articles don't exist, there can appear to be knowledge gaps, not only on Wikipedia, but also in the wider information ecosystem. So that's why these awards are really important. They're about helping to close knowledge gaps that exist to ensure that African perspectives are also covered on Wikipedia.
Right, so it makes it, it's kind of easier, I guess, for the journalists to pick on already existent topics, but why is it important for those stories, especially about Africa, to be included in global platforms like Wikipedia?
Yeah, so platforms like Wikipedia, increasingly so, are being used by AI technology. We're not against AI, we support the responsible use of AI, particularly because those platforms ensure that knowledge is shared with many people around the world. And the Wikimedia mission is about ensuring that everyone has access to the sum of all human knowledge. And if that information is missing, it means that people around the world don't get to experience it. They don't get to learn about those specific cultures. And I think that with the stories that have been honored in this year's awards, they're very much uncovering topics that aren't widely covered. Many of them are covering, women's achievements. And we know that women reporting about women is underrepresented, not just in Africa, but around the world. On Wikipedia, English Wikipedia alone, I think that of all of the biographical content that exists, 20% of that is about women. And even though there is a lot of effort going into trying to close those knowledge gaps, like through initiatives like this, there's still a long way to go.
And that probably is the reason why a woman won first place, with the award, Rekia Mohammed. Glad to say that, that does sound like a Nigerian name, doesn't it? And Abiodun Adewale is also Nigerian. What stood out to you about, their stories this year?
So this year, we looked at each of the stories, and I think they demonstrate there's a lot of good research that has gone into these stories. They demonstrate journalistic integrity. They also showcase stories that perhaps haven't been covered as widely. I think Rukeya's story kind of covers a decades-long journey, a migration journey that's been made by women looking to change their future, but who then go on to contribute back to their local economy. And we see stories like that are just so important to showcase because they haven't been done so before. And if I look at the selection committee, which includes volunteers from Wikipedia in Africa, they are very familiar with the gaps that exist because, from thinking about subjects that are close to their hearts, that they know about, that are relevant to the local context, often a challenge that they have is that they cannot then go on to write those stories because they know they don't exist, which is why certainly the topic areas of women and youth and arts, culture and heritage and sports were picked as two categories for the awards this year. And I think both these articles do a really good job of talking to those categories, but also addressing really great standards of journalistic integrity, which is what we'd expect from a reliable publication that would be sourced and cited on Wikipedia.
Indeed. And Nazneen, thank you so much. And congratulations to all of the winners. I'm hoping we have more entries next year. 320, I understand. That's a wide pool to pick from. So kudos, to the judges who were able to decide which stories were best. Thanks again, Nazneen.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. A civic engagement campaign is seeking to boost youth participation in Nigeria's democratic process after more than 200 people completed their online voter registration. The permanent voters card registration drive, organized by the Citizens Application for Political Participation in partnership with the Global Shapers Community and Enough is Enough Nigeria, also educated participants on the importance of voting and active citizenship. Organizers say many of those who registered admitted they would not have done so without the campaign. The initiative also sparked interest in the CAP Club, a youth program designed to empower students with civic leadership skills and encourage greater participation in community development. A Kenyan organization is transforming bamboo into life-changing mobility aids, giving children with disabilities faster and more affordable access to custom-made wheelchairs. We're looking at a workshop in Kijabe, where a local craftsman is building each wheelchair from locally sourced bamboo, a material chosen for being lightweight, durable, and easy to repair. The project, led by Bethany Kids, was created to address the shortage of pediatric wheelchairs in Kenya, where imported devices can take months to arrive and remain out of reach for many families. Beyond improving mobility, the initiative is also supporting local farmers and businesses while giving more children the freedom to learn, play, and live more independently.
Using bamboo as our materials for making wheelchairs, simply because they are locally available. We can buy them from the farmers, which will also be another way of promoting the local farmers. And also, it's a light material. It doesn't get rust. So when it comes to issues with durability, if you compare with rust, then probably it can have more advantages. Also, it's portable because of its weight. It's much lighter. And the tools or the accessories that we are putting in it are locally available. When you talk of the wheels, the bearings, we buy them from the local farms or shops. So it's easily repairable. In Kenya, we have limited access to PIDS wheelchairs. So most of the children normally don't get access to these products. So that's why, as well as the kids, we decided to come up with a homemade solution to reduce that timeline of importing wheelchairs from abroad. So that will make them get access to these products on time.
Back then, a good wheelchair was very expensive, or it was not even locally available. And if you had one, you had either to import or have someone get it for you, which would probably take a very long time. Or even organizations that were willing to get you one either needed you to part with a lot of money, which a good percent of people who are wheelchair users could not afford.
What we're looking at is a hero's welcome for Cabo Verde as thousands of fans fill the streets of Praia to celebrate the nation's historic FIFA World Cup campaign. Supporters waved flags, they sang songs and danced as the squad returned home following a thrilling round of 32 exits to world champions Argentina. After extra time, the island nation made history by qualifying for its first ever World Cup, going unbeaten in the group stage and capturing the admiration of football fans around the world, me inclusive. Despite their exit, Cabo Verde's remarkable run has been hailed as a landmark achievement, with supporters proudly celebrating a team that put the nation on the global football stage.
Everything they did, all the history they created, and now Cape Verde, Sanabaka Mundo!
I have to say they did do their best. Now, as we end the program, here's a fun fact before we go. Did you know Niger was once at the heart of some of Africa's greatest empires? And long before it became the modern Republic of Niger, the region formed part of powerful states, including the Kanem-Bornu Empire, the Mali Empire, and the Songhai Empire. Its strategic location along the trans-Saharan trade routes made it a vital crossroads for merchants traveling between West and North Africa. Caravans transported valuable goods such as gold, salt, leather, and textiles, while tragically, enslaved people were also traded through these networks. For centuries, these trade routes helped shape Niger's economy, culture, and history, making it one of the gateways connecting different parts of Africa. And now you know. And that's Network Africa today. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani.